The news reached every corner of the galaxy within days. The Crimson Fleet, the most feared pirate armada in known space, was coming to the Outer Rim. 100 ships led by the legendary pirate king Drakmor, whose name was whispered in terror across 1,000 worlds. Their target was simple: destroy the human ship that had been ruining their business. Hyun-woo stood in the command center of Firebase Alpha, a hidden asteroid base that had become the headquarters of the Human Defense Initiative. Around him, holographic displays showed the positions of 17 human ships, all based on modified Whisper-class designs. The silent observer had not been alone for months. Other human survivors had found them, refugees from pirate attacks who wanted to fight back. Dae-yoon and her engineers had shared their modifications with every human ship that joined them. Now the galaxy faced not one nightmare ship but an entire fleet. "Status report," Hyun-woo called to his captains. Each ship was connected by quantum communication links that Soo-jin had adapted from alien technology. "Star Runner reporting," came the voice of Captain Hae-won. "Commanding a ship that had once been an alien cargo hauler. My crew has finished installing the new armor plating. We're ready for battle." "Iron Will standing by," reported Captain Dong-soo from his converted mining vessel. Kinetic launchers loaded and tested. One by one, the human captains checked in. Each ship was different, built from whatever alien vessel they could find and modify, but all of them shared the same deadly improvements that had made the Silent Observer famous. "The Crimson Fleet will arrive in 6 hours," Soo-jin announced from her command console. "Admiral Kethvar is holding his Federation ships at the edge of the system. He says he wants to observe. Let him watch," Hyun-woo replied. "He'll learn something today." On the bridge of the Federation battleship Righteous Fury, Admiral Kethvar studied the tactical displays with growing concern. His sensors showed the approaching Crimson Fleet in all its terrible glory. 100 pirate ships, including 5 dreadnoughts that could crack planets. Against them, 17 small human vessels that had started life as the weakest ships in the galaxy. "Sir, should we move to assist the humans?" asked his tactical officer. "No," Admiral Kethvar said quietly. "If we interfere, we'll never know what they're truly capable of. And I have a feeling we need to know." The Crimson Fleet dropped out of hyperspace like a swarm of angry hornets. Drakmor's flagship, the Eternal Darkness, was larger than most space stations. Its weapons could destroy entire cities. Its shields could withstand the combined firepower of a Federation battle group. Drakmor himself was a legend of cruelty. He had been raiding and killing for over 50 years. His fleet had never been defeated, never been stopped, never been challenged by anything they could not destroy. "Where are the humans?" Drakmor demanded from his command throne. His forearms gestured at the tactical displays that showed only empty space. "No contacts, my lord," reported his sensor officer. "But there are asteroid fields throughout this system. They could be hiding." "Then flush them out," Drakmor snarled. "I want that ghost ship found and destroyed. Begin bombardment of every asteroid large enough to hide a vessel." The pirate fleet spread out across the system, firing at asteroids with devastating weapons. Rocks that had existed for millions of years were turned to dust in seconds. If the humans were hiding, they would be forced into the open. But the humans were not hiding in the asteroids. "Now," Hyun-woo whispered into his communication device. Throughout the system, 17 human ships dropped their stealth systems and appeared like ghosts materializing from thin air. They had been there all along, floating powerless and silent, waiting for the perfect moment. The Silent Observer led the attack, diving toward the center of the Crimson Fleet with impossible speed. Behind it came the other human vessels, each one moving with the fluid grace that came from neural interface piloting. "What are those things?" Drakmor shouted as his sensors finally detected the attacking ships. "They look like civilian vessels." His weapons officer was frantically trying to get target locks. "Sir, they're moving too fast." "I can't track them." The first wave of kinetic mines struck the outer edge of the pirate formation. 3 destroyers simply disappeared, torn apart by projectiles moving at relativistic speeds. The pirates' energy shields, designed to stop plasma weapons, were useless against solid metal accelerated to impossible velocities. On the Star Runner, Captain Hae-won watched her targeting display light up with enemy contacts. Her ship had once been a peaceful cargo hauler. Now it carried enough kinetic weapons to sink a battleship. "Fire," she ordered calmly. The Star Runner's mines found a pirate cruiser and punched through its hull like it was made of paper. The ship broke in half, spilling atmosphere and crew into the vacuum of space. Throughout the fleet, human ships struck with devastating precision. Captain Dongsu's iron will used its mining equipment to trap pirate vessels in gravity nets, holding them still, while other human ships destroyed them. The Night Fury, commanded by Captain Youngmi, had been modified with Federation sensor technology that could track multiple targets simultaneously. The pirates tried to fight back, but their weapons could not hit targets that moved like living things. Human pilots connected to their ships through bio-neural interfaces could feel incoming fire and dodge before it reached them. Impossible, Drakmor screamed as his fleet was torn apart around him. These are civilian ships. They cannot do this. But they were doing it. In 20 minutes of brutal combat, the Crimson Fleet lost 40 ships. The survivors were scattered across the system, trying desperately to escape the human hunters that pursued them like wolves chasing sheep. The silent observer appeared alongside the eternal darkness, close enough for the two captains to see each other through their viewports. Hyunwoo looked at the pirate king who had terrorized the galaxy for decades. Drakmor's forearms were shaking with rage and fear. His mighty flagship was crippled, its weapons destroyed, its shields down. "You are finished," Hyunwoo said over the open communication channel. "Surrender now and we will let your crew live." "Never," Drakmor snarled. "I am Drakmor the Destroyer. I do not surrender to anyone. Then you will die like all the others who prey on the innocent." The silent observer fired a single kinetic mine directly into the eternal darkness's bridge. The Pirate King's last thought was wonder at how such a small ship could carry so much death. When the battle ended, the Crimson Fleet was gone, destroyed, captured, or scattered to the winds. The most feared pirate armada in galactic history had been broken by 17 ships that had once been considered worthless. Admiral Kethvar watched the aftermath from his safe distance, his mind struggling to process what he had witnessed. The humans had not just won, they had dominated. They had taken the weakest ships in the galaxy and turned them into weapons that could defeat anything. "Sir," his communications officer called, "Captain Hyunwoo is requesting permission to come aboard." "Granted," the admiral said quietly. An hour later, Hyunwoo stood in the admiral's ready room, looking out at the debris field that had once been the Crimson Fleet. His uniform was simple, unmarked by any military decorations. But his presence filled the room. "How?" Admiral Kethvar asked. "How did you do the impossible?" Hyunwoo turned to face the alien admiral. "We didn't do the impossible. We just refused to accept limits that were never real in the first place. The entire galaxy will know about this battle within days. Everyone will want to understand how humans turned reconnaissance ships into warships." "Good," Hyunwoo replied. "Let them know that humans don't just survive. We adapt, we improve, and when someone threatens innocent people, we become exactly what they fear most." Through the viewport, both officers could see human ships patrolling the system that had once been terrorized by pirates. Each vessel bore the scars of battle, but they moved with confidence and purpose. The silent observer passed by the Federation battleship, its hull gleaming with new armor modifications. Inside, Daun was already planning the next upgrade. Sujin was analyzing data from the battle to improve their tactics. Jinho was designing new weapons. Taemin was pushing his neural interface connection even deeper. The ship that had started as the galaxy's most pathetic vessel had become the seed of something new, something that would change the balance of power in space forever. Admiral Kethvar watched the small ship disappear into the starfield and realized that the galaxy would never be the same. Humans had shown everyone that weakness was just another word for potential. And when that potential was unleashed, it became unstoppable. The age of human space had begun. The news spread through the criminal underworld like wildfire. In dark corners of space stations and hidden pirate bases, the same story was told over and over. A ghost ship that looked harmless but killed without mercy, a vessel that appeared from nowhere, destroyed entire fleets, and vanished before help could arrive. They called it the Nightmare Ship. 6 months after the battle with Vextar's fleet, the silent observer had become a legend. Hyunwoo stood on his bridge, reading the latest intelligence reports that Sujin had gathered from pirate communications. "They're changing their tactics," Sujin reported. "Pirates are traveling in groups of 20 ships or more now. They think numbers will protect them. Are they right?" Hyunwoo asked. Jin-Ho looked up from his weapons console with a grim smile. Bigger groups just make bigger targets. The past 6 months had taught the crew many things. Every battle made them better. Every encounter showed them new ways to use their ship's strange combination of alien technology and human innovation. Da-Un had not stopped improving the Silent Observer. The ship could now change its hull configuration during battle. Armor plates shifted to provide better protection. Weapon ports opened and closed to confuse enemy targeting systems. The ship had become a living thing that adapted to each fight. "Captain, we have a situation," Taman called from the pilot's station. His hands were pressed against the neural interface connecting him to the ship's sensors. "I'm reading a distress signal from the shipping lanes. Civilian transport under attack." Yunwoo moved to the tactical display. The signal was coming from a Federation cargo hauler called Lucky Strike. The ship was carrying medical supplies to a colony world when pirates found it. "How many attacking ships?" Yunwoo asked. 15, Taman replied. "Mixed fleet. Looks like the Red Fang Brotherhood." Yunwoo knew that name. The Red Fang Brotherhood was one of the largest pirate organizations in the sector. They had been attacking Federation shipping for years and no one had been able to stop them. Until now. "Set course for the attack," Hyunwoo ordered. "Maximum speed." The Silent Observer shot through space like a bullet. Its modified engines pushed it faster than any ship its size should be able to travel. Within minutes, they reached the battle. The Lucky Strike was surrounded by pirate ships. Its shields were failing under constant weapons fire. The civilian crew was sending desperate calls for help that no one would answer in time. "Standard approach," Hyunwoo said calmly. "Make them think we're just observing." Taemin slowed the ship to normal reconnaissance speeds. To the pirates, the Silent Observer looked like any other Whisper-class vessel. A harmless alien scout, probably running away from the fight. The Red Fang pirates ignored the small ship completely. They were focused on breaking through the cargo hauler's shields to steal its valuable medical supplies. That was their mistake. "Jin-Ho, target their leader," Hyunwoo ordered. The largest pirate ship was a modified battlecruiser called Blood Moon. Its captain, a vicious alien named Korvac, was known for torturing civilian crews before killing them. The Federation had offered a huge reward for his capture, but no one had ever managed to find him. Jin-Ho's kinetic mind shot from the hidden launchers with perfect precision. The metal projectiles crossed space in seconds and punched through the Blood Moon's engine section. The battlecruiser's reactor went critical, turning the ship into an expanding ball of fire. Korvac died before he even knew he was under attack. "What happened to the Blood Moon?" shouted one of the surviving pirate captains over the communication channels. "I didn't see any weapons fire." That's when they noticed the Silent Observer. "It's the ghost ship," another pirate screamed. "The nightmare ship, run!" But running from the Silent Observer had become almost impossible. Taemin's neural connection let him predict where the fleeing ships would go. The modified engines let him catch them no matter how fast they ran. And Jin-Ho's weapons could strike targets from ranges that seemed impossible. The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, 14 pirate ships were destroyed or crippled. Only one escaped, and that was because Hyunwoo let it go. Survivors needed to spread the word about what happened to pirates who attacked innocent people. The crew of the Lucky Strike sent grateful messages as the Silent Observer disappeared back into space. They had been saved by a ship that appeared from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. But someone else had been watching the battle. Admiral Kethvar of the Federation Navy sat in his command chair aboard the battleship Righteous Fury, studying sensor records of the fight. His ship had arrived just as the battle ended, drawn by the distress signals. "Play it again," he ordered his tactical officer. The holographic display showed the attack from beginning to end. A tiny reconnaissance ship destroying an entire pirate fleet in minutes. Weapons that appeared to be firing solid projectiles at impossible velocities. Maneuvers that should have torn the small ship apart. "Sir, that's definitely a Whisper-class vessel," the tactical officer reported. "But the performance data doesn't match. No Whisper-class can move like that or carry those kinds of weapons." "Then it's not really a Whisper-class anymore, is it?" Admiral Kethvar mused. "Contact Federation intelligence. I want to know everything about that ship." The investigation took 3 weeks. When the report reached Admiral Kethvar's desk, he read it twice before believing it. The ship was crewed by human survivors from the colony vessel New Sol. The same ship that had been reported destroyed by pirates 6 months ago. Somehow, the humans had not only survived, but had turned a worthless reconnaissance vessel into the most effective anti-pirate weapon in the galaxy. They did what? Admiral Kethvar asked his intelligence officer. They stripped parts from their destroyed colony ship and used them to modify the Whisper-class vessel. Our engineering experts say it should be impossible, but the results speak for themselves. The Admiral looked at the data again. In 6 months, the human ship had destroyed or captured over 40 pirate vessels. Pirate activity in the sector had dropped by 78%. Trade routes that had been too dangerous for civilian ships were now safer than Federation core worlds. I want to meet with their captain, Admiral Kethvar decided. Finding the silent observer was not easy. The ship seemed to appear and disappear at will. But Federation intelligence finally tracked it to a repair station in the neutral zone, where the humans were helping a merchant convoy that had been damaged by pirates. Admiral Kethvar arrived at the station in a diplomatic shuttle, not a warship. He wanted to talk, not fight. He found Captain Hyunwoo in the station's main docking bay, supervising repairs to a damaged civilian transport. The human captain was younger than the Admiral had expected, with the kind of calm confidence that came from facing death and winning. Captain Hyunwoo, Admiral Kethvar said as he approached. I'm Admiral Kethvar of the Federation Navy. I'd like to speak with you. Hyunwoo turned to face the Admiral. His eyes showed the wariness of someone who had learned not to trust authority figures. About what? About how you turned the galaxy's most worthless ship into its most dangerous weapon. Hyunwoo was quiet for a moment, studying the alien Admiral. Finally he spoke. We didn't turn it into a weapon. We turned it into something better. What's that? We turned it into hope. Admiral Kethvar looked around the docking bay. Human engineers were working alongside alien merchants, sharing techniques and tools. Everyone seemed to trust each other, united by their common enemy, the pirates who preyed on innocent travelers. How did you do it? The Admiral asked. Hyunwoo smiled for the first time since their conversation began. We stopped thinking like everyone else expected us to think. We started thinking like humans. The pirate fleet moved through space like sharks smelling blood, 7 ships in formation, with the massive world breaker leading the pack. Captain Vextar stood on his bridge watching the scanner displays with satisfaction. The asteroid field is just ahead, reported his navigation officer. Lots of debris from that human colony ship we hit 3 months ago. Good, Vextar growled. His scaled hands gripped the command rail. There should be plenty of salvage left. Humans always carry valuable metals and technology. The world breaker was 3 times larger than any other ship in the fleet. Its weapons could crack a moon in half. Its shields could stop a direct hit from a Federation battlecruiser. Vextar had built his reputation by attacking the helpless and running from anything that could fight back. Sir, I'm reading a ship signature in the field, called the sensor operator. Small vessel. Looks like a Whisper-class reconnaissance ship. Vextar laughed. Probably some alien coward watching us from a safe distance. Ignore it. Those things can't even scratch our paint. Hidden between 2 asteroids, the silent observer drifted in the shadows. On its bridge, Hyunwoo watched the pirate fleet approach. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. This would be their first real test. 7 ships, Jinho reported from the weapons station. The big one in front is a heavy cruiser. The others look like destroyers and frigates. Power signatures? Hyunwoo asked. Sujin's fingers danced over her console. The lead ship has shields and weapons designed to fight other warships. The smaller ships are fast but lightly armored. At the pilot station, Taimin had his hands pressed against the neural interface. Through the bio-neural link, he could feel the ship's systems like his own body. The engines hummed with barely contained power. The new hull armor felt solid and strong. They're not even looking at us, he whispered. Their sensors show a standard Whisper-class ship. They think we're harmless. That's exactly what we want them to think, Hyunwoo replied. He opened a comm channel to the entire crew. All hands prepare for combat. This is what we've been working toward. Throughout the ship, the human survivors took their positions. Some strapped themselves into acceleration couches. Others moved to damage control stations. Everyone knew their job. Daeun, how's our armor holding up? Hyunwoo asked. From the engineering section, Daeun's voice came through clearly. Hull integrity at maximum. New plating is responding perfectly. We're ready for whatever they throw at us. The pirate fleet spread out as it entered the asteroid field. The smaller ships moved ahead to scout for valuable debris, while the world breaker stayed back, scanning for threats that didn't exist. "Now," Hyunwoo ordered. Taemin's connection to the ship flowed like electricity through his nervous system. The silent observer moved from its hiding spot with liquid grace, accelerating faster than any reconnaissance ship should be able to move. The first pirate ship never saw it coming. Jinho's kinetic mines shot from the hidden launchers like invisible hammers. The metal projectiles crossed space in seconds and slammed into the pirate frigate's hull. The ship's energy shields flickered uselessly as solid metal punched through armor plating like paper. The frigate's reactor exploded in a ball of white fire. "What was that?" Vextar shouted on his bridge. His sensors were screaming alerts, but they made no sense. The explosion had come from empty space. "Unknown, sir," his weapons officer replied, panic creeping into his voice. "Something hit the Razor's edge, but I don't see any enemy ships. Check your sensors, you fool." "Ships don't explode by themselves." But even as Vextar spoke, another explosion lit up the darkness. A destroyer simply came apart as kinetic mines tore through its engine section. Debris scattered in all directions. There, the sensor operator pointed at his screen. That Whisper-class ship. "It's moving too fast." Vextar looked at the tactical display. The small reconnaissance ship was diving through his fleet like an angry insect. But reconnaissance ships were harmless. They couldn't even carry real weapons. "All ships target that pest," Vextar ordered. "Swat it down." The remaining pirate ships turned their guns toward the silent observer. Energy beams lanced through space, but Taemin was ready for them. Through the neural interface, he could feel the weapons coming before the pirates fired them. The ship twisted and rolled through the attack, its modified engines pushing it in directions that should have been impossible. Plasma bolts that should have vaporized the silent observer passed harmlessly by. The pirates were aiming where the ship had been, not where it was going. "How is it moving like that?" Vextar demanded. He got his answer when more kinetic mines erupted from the small ship. This time, they struck a destroyer's weapon systems, turning its own ammunition into a secondary explosion that crippled two other ships. On the silent observer's bridge, Sujin was working her own kind of magic. Her fingers flew over the computer interface as she hacked into the pirates' communication systems. "I'm in their network," she announced. "I can hear everything they're saying." "What are they saying?" Hyunwoo asked. "They're terrified," Sujin replied with satisfaction. "They can't understand what's happening. Their sensors keep telling them we're just a reconnaissance ship, but we're destroying their fleet." Jinho launched another spread of kinetic mines. The projectiles found their targets with deadly precision. One pirate ship lost its bridge. Another had its engines torn away. A third simply broke in half. "How many ships left?" Hyunwoo asked. "3, including the big one," Jinho reported. "But the other 2 are trying to run." "Let them go," Hyunwoo decided. "Focus on the flagship." The world breaker was turning to face them, its massive weapons powering up. Vextar's ship was designed to fight other capital ships, not tiny fast targets. But it had enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "All weapons maximum intensity," Vextar screamed. "Turn that thing into vapor!" The heavy cruiser's main guns fired in sequence. Bolts of plasma larger than the silent observer itself crossed space toward the human ship. But Taemin was no longer thinking like a normal pilot. The neural interface let him become the ship. When the plasma came toward them, he didn't try to dodge it. Instead, he used the ship's new engines to slide sideways at an angle that put the plasma bolt into an asteroid. The rock exploded, sending chunks of stone flying in all directions. "Use the debris," Hyunwoo ordered. Taemin understood immediately. He flew the silent observer through the cloud of asteroid fragments, using them as cover while Jinho prepared for their final attack. "I need to get close," Jinho said. "That ship's armor is too thick for long-range shots." "How close?" "Close enough to touch." Taemin pushed the engines to their limit. The silent observer burst from the debris cloud like a bullet from a gun, racing directly at the worldbreaker's hull. Vextar watched in horror as the tiny ship approached his massive vessel. "It's going to ram us," he shouted. But the silent observer didn't ram the pirate flagship. Instead, it flew along the hull's surface at impossible speed while Jinho fired kinetic mines directly into the ship's weapon systems. The mines punched through armor that could withstand battleship guns. They found ammunition stores, power conduits, and reactor cooling systems. The worldbreaker shuddered as explosions rippled through its interior. "Shields down," reported Vextar's damage control officer. "Weapons offline. Hull breaches on 12 decks." The silent observer pulled away from the crippled flagship and hung in space. Its weapons still trained on the pirate ship. On his bridge, Hyunwoo opened a communication channel to the world breaker. "This is Captain Hyunwoo of the human vessel Silent Observer," he said calmly. "You destroyed our colony ship and left us to die. Now you know what it feels like to be helpless." Vextar's face appeared on the screen, his scales pale with shock. "What are you?" "We're the people you tried to kill," Hyunwoo replied. "And we don't forget." The Silent Observer powered up its engines and disappeared into the asteroid field, leaving the world breaker drifting powerless among the debris of its own fleet. In the darkness of space, word began to spread through pirate communication networks. There was a ship that looked like prey but fought like death itself. A ship that turned the galaxy's weakest vessel into every criminal's nightmare. The hunt had begun. The asteroid field looked like a ship graveyard in the pale light of the distant star. Broken rocks floated between the larger asteroids, creating perfect hiding spots. Hyunwoo had chosen this place carefully. The Silent Observer sat tucked between two massive rocks, invisible to any passing ships. It had been 3 weeks since they found the asteroid field. 3 weeks since Daun had started tearing apart both ships with a team of engineers who worked like their lives depended on it, which they did. "Pass me that plasma cutter," Daun called to her assistant Minho. The young engineer crawled through the narrow space between the Silent Observer's inner and outer hulls, dragging tools behind him. "This is crazy," Minho muttered as he handed over the tool. "We're putting colony ship armor plating on a reconnaissance vessel. The weight distribution is all wrong." "Stop thinking like an engineer," Dayun replied, carefully cutting through the alien hull material. "Start thinking like a human." She had been saying that a lot lately. The alien designers who built the Whisper class had followed rules that made sense to them. Small ship meant light armor. Reconnaissance meant weak weapons. Hidden meant defenseless. But humans had different rules. The honeycomb armor pattern had been Dayun's idea. Instead of thick plates that could be punched through, she was building layers of interlocking metal that spread impact across the entire hull. When something hit the ship, the force would travel through the whole structure instead of breaking through in one spot. "It's like a spider web," she had explained to Hyunwoo. "Hit one strand and the whole web absorbs the shock." The work was slow and dangerous. They had to cut through the Silent Observer's hull while people were living inside it. Teams worked in shifts, sleeping in whatever space they could find. The lucky ones got sleeping bags on the floor. The unlucky ones slept standing up, but nobody complained. Everyone understood what they were building. In the weapons bay, Jin Ho was solving a different problem. The pulse cannons that came with the ship could barely scratch paint off a cargo hauler, but the new Soul had been equipped with mining equipment that used controlled explosions to break apart asteroids. "The problem isn't power," Jin Ho explained to his team as they worked on the new weapon system. "The problem is hitting the target." He held up a metal cylinder the size of his fist. It looked like simple mining equipment, but Jin Ho saw something else. "This is a kinetic penetrator. The miners use them to crack open asteroid cores. But what if we fired them from a ship moving at high speed?" His assistant, Jun Sik, looked confused. "Wouldn't they just bounce off shields?" "Energy shields," Jin Ho corrected. "They're designed to stop plasma bolts and laser beams. But kinetic weapons, solid projectiles moving at high velocity, most shield systems can't handle that kind of impact." The beauty of the kinetic mines was their simplicity. No complex targeting systems, no power requirements beyond the magnetic launcher. Just solid metal moving very, very fast. Jin Ho's team had built launchers into the Silent Observer's hull at angles that would let them fire in almost any direction. From the outside, the ship still looked like a harmless reconnaissance vessel, but now it could throw metal projectiles with enough force to punch through battleship armor. On the bridge, Sujin was discovering secrets that the alien designers had hidden in the ship's computer systems. Her fingers moved across the interface as code scrolled past on her screen. "Found another one," she announced to the bridge crew. "Another what?" asked Taemin from the pilot's seat. "Military subroutine. This ship's computer has battle management software, threat analysis programs, and targeting systems. They're all locked behind civilian access codes, but they're there." Sujin had been working on the computer system for 2 weeks. What she found amazed her. The Whisper-class ships were built on military hardware, but loaded with civilian software. It was like buying a sports car and limiting it to 30 kilometers per hour. But the most interesting discovery was the bio-neural interface. The ship's computer was designed to connect directly with the pilot's nervous system, allowing for faster reaction times and better control. The problem was that most alien species couldn't handle the connection. Their minds worked too slowly or too rigidly. Human minds were different. "Taemin, I want to try something," Sujin said. "Put your hands on the interface panels. What will happen? Hopefully you'll become part of the ship." Taemin pressed his palms against the smooth alien metal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then his eyes went wide. "I can feel the engines," he whispered. "I can sense the hull integrity, the power flow, everything." Through the neural link, Taemin could control the ship like it was his own body. When he wanted to turn left, the ship responded instantly. When he needed more speed, the engines answered before he finished the thought. "This is incredible," he breathed. "I don't think alien pilots can do this." "They can't," Sujin confirmed. "Their brains are too structured. But human neural patterns are chaotic enough to match the bio-neural network. We can interface with alien technology in ways they never imagined." In the engine room, Daun was pushing the Silent Observer's propulsion system far beyond its original design limits. She had stripped the engines from the new Sol and somehow managed to connect them to the smaller ship's power grid. The result was a ship that could accelerate and maneuver like nothing in its class. The original Whisper class could barely outrun a cargo hauler. Daeun's modified version could keep pace with military fighters. "The stress readings are off the charts," reported her assistant, looking worried at the diagnostic displays. "Ignore them," Daun said calmly. "Those are alien safety limits. Humans can handle higher G-forces than most species, and our new hull structure can take the stress." She was right. The human crew could survive acceleration that would crush most aliens. Combined with Taemin's neural interface, the ship could perform maneuvers that would be impossible for any other pilot. By the end of the 3rd month, the Silent Observer looked almost the same from the outside. The hull was still smooth and gray. The weapons ports were still hidden. The engine signatures matched the original specifications, but inside the ship had become something entirely new. Hyunwoo stood in the main corridor, watching his people work. Engineers crawled through access tunnels, installing the last of the new systems. Weapons specialists loaded the kinetic launchers. Computer technicians ran final tests on the upgraded software. "Status report," he called to Daeun. "Hull modifications complete. New armor tested and holding. Weapon systems operational. Engines running at 150% of original capacity." "Sujin?" "Computer upgrades finished. Battle management software online. Bio-neural interface calibrated for human pilots." "Jinho?" "Kinetic launchers loaded and ready. Targeting computers synchronized with the main system." "Taemin?" The pilot grinned from his position at the neural interface. "I can feel everything, Captain. This ship is ready to fly." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. They had done something that should have been impossible. They had taken the weakest class of ship in the galaxy and turned it into a weapon. But now came the real test. "Set course for the shipping lanes," Hyunwoo ordered. "It's time to find some pirates." The emergency lights cast red shadows across the broken bridge of the new Sol. "Captain." Hyunwoo pressed his hand against the cracked viewport and watched debris from his ship float past in the cold darkness of space. 3 hours ago, he had been captain of a colony ship carrying 847 souls to their new home. Now he was captain of a dying hulk. "Captain, we have power for maybe 6 hours, Daeun called from the engineering station. Her voice was steady, but Hyunwoo could hear the fear underneath. "The pirates hit our main reactor. We're running on backup cells." Hyunwoo nodded but did not turn around. Outside, he could see the shapes of the pirate ships moving away. They had taken what they wanted from the cargo holds and left the humans to die. It was cleaner that way. No witnesses, no complaints to the Galactic Trade Federation. "How many survivors?" he asked. "All 847 are still alive," Sujin reported from the communications console, "but 17 are badly hurt. We need medical facilities soon. And we need a ship," added Taemin from the pilot's seat. The young man's hands were still shaking from trying to outrun the pirates. "This bucket won't last much longer." Hyunwoo finally turned to face his bridge crew. These 4 had stayed at their posts during the attack while others ran to the escape pods. Daeun, his chief engineer, could fix anything with metal and wire. Sujin could talk to any computer system in the galaxy. Jinho, his weapons officer, had kept the pirates busy long enough for most people to reach safety. And Taiman could fly anything with engines. Sir, Jin-Ho spoke up from his station. I'm reading a ship signature about 2 kilometers off our port side. It's small. Looks like it's been drifting. Pirates left a trap. Hyun-Woo asked. No, sir. The signature is all wrong. It's not moving under power. I think it's been abandoned. Sujin's fingers danced over her console. I'm picking up the ship's identification beacon. It's a Whisper-class reconnaissance vessel. Registration shows it belongs to some alien trader named Vex Cool. Da-Yun laughed, but there was no humor in it. A Whisper class. Those things are basically flying cans. They use them to watch empty space because they're too weak to do anything else. It's still a ship, Hyun-Woo said. Taemin, can you get us close enough to dock? I can try, Captain. But our docking clamps are damaged. It'll have to be a soft link. 20 minutes later, Hyun-Woo floated through the airlock connecting the 2 ships. The silent observer was exactly as pathetic as Da-Yun had said. The corridors were narrow. The walls looked thin enough to punch through. Everything about the ship screamed, cheap. The bridge was barely large enough for 3 people. Hyun-Woo found the ship's log and pulled up the last entries. Vex Kull had been running from pirates when his engines failed. He had abandoned ship in an escape pod 3 days ago. At least the air recyclers work, Hyun-Woo muttered to himself. Da-Yun's voice came through his comm unit. Captain, I've looked at the ship's systems. The good news is everything works. The bad news is everything is terrible. How terrible. The weapons are pulse cannons designed for scaring off space rats. The shields couldn't stop a strong sneeze. The hull armor is so thin I could probably cut through it with a plasma torch. And the engines, well, they moved the ship, but barely. Hyun-Woo made his way to the engine room. It was a cramped space filled with alien technology that looked like it had been built by the lowest bidder, but it was functional. What's our carrying capacity? He asked. Officially, 50 beings maximum, but that's with life support, food, and comfortable living space. Hyun-Woo was quiet for a long moment. 847 people. 1 tiny ship. It was impossible, but impossible was better than dead. Da-Yun, how long can we stretch the life support if we pack everyone in? Captain, you can't be serious. This ship wasn't designed for that kind of load. How long? Da-Yun was quiet while she ran calculations. If we shut down all non-essential systems, remove all the furniture, and have people sleep in shifts, maybe a week. 2 weeks if we're very lucky. That's not enough time to reach any Federation planet. No, sir, it's not. Hyun-Woo closed his eyes and thought. They were in the Outer Rim, where the Federation's protection was weak and pirates ruled. The nearest safe port was 3 weeks away at best. No one would come looking for them. The New Soul had been listed as a private colony mission. When they failed to arrive at their destination, people would assume pirates got them, which they had. But Hyun-Woo had not survived 15 years as a merchant captain by accepting defeat. There had to be another way. Da-Yun, what would it take to modify this ship? Modify it how? To make it better, stronger, more dangerous. Captain, this is a reconnaissance ship. It's designed to hide and watch, not fight. But what if we change that? Da-Yun was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice had changed. Hyun-Woo recognized the tone. It was the same voice she used when she saw a broken engine and figured out how to make it run better than new. Well, she said slowly, the frame is actually pretty solid. Aliens build everything to last forever, and all this empty space could be used for other things. The weapons mounts could handle bigger guns if we reinforce them. The power system has room for upgrades. Keep going. The computer system is military grade, just running civilian software. Sujin could probably unlock a lot of hidden features. And the engines? They're small, but they're efficient. With some modifications, we might be able to get more speed. Hyun-Woo felt something he had not felt since the pirate attack. Hope. How long would it take? To do it right, months. But Captain, we'd need parts, tools, materials. This ship doesn't have what we need to rebuild itself. We have the New Soul, Hyun-Woo said. It's broken, but it has everything we need to strip for parts. He could almost hear Da-Eun's mind working through the possibilities. It would be dangerous, she said finally. We'd be taking systems designed for a colony ship and cramming them into a reconnaissance vessel. Nothing would work the way it was supposed to. Would it work at all? Maybe. But it wouldn't be a Whisper-class ship anymore. It would be something new, something that's never been tried before. Yunwoo looked around the tiny engine room of the Silent Observer. In his mind, he could see something different. Something that would make pirates think twice about attacking helpless humans. Dayun, gather the senior staff. We need to talk to the survivors. About what, Captain? About turning the galaxy's weakest ship into something that will give pirates nightmares.